Located in the city of Bowling Green lies one of Kentucky's greatest natural wonders. Lost River Cave is a cave entrance with an underground river that flows through it before disappearing. The natives who ventured into the area's extensive underground passages were not only looking for items of use, but for answers to unknown questions about where the water in the tunnels resurfaced and what types of animals and formations resided in the depths. Lost River's status as an active, wet cave means that most artifacts that have been deposited into its passageways over the years are probably destroyed or lost forever.
How was the cave formed? Well, basically it's limestone bedrock, and whenever it rains, rainwater percolates down through the soil, picks up carbon dioxide, becomes a weak acid, and dissolves away at the limestone, running between layers, creating cave passageways.
Water just kind of slowly seeps down through the soil, and on its way down, though, it accumulates a lot of CO2, which is emitted by decaying organic matter, like dead leaves, dead animals, dead grass, things like that. But when the water and the CO2 bind together, it creates carbonic acid, and the carbonic acid is what actually leaches into the bedrock of limestone that we have here in Kentucky.
Still being formed right now. The river's still running through it, still eroding away at the walls. They've mapped 6.5 miles of passage, and if you take a look at the map, you'll see lots of dashed lines where a passage is that has not been surveyed. So there are still lots of unsurveyed passages in there. It flows under Bowling Green, comes out at a spring called Lost River Rise on the other side of Lambkin Park, feeds into the Jennings Creek and onto the Barren River.
There are many conflicting reports on the construction of the first mill at Lost River Cave.
Back in the early 1800s, it was used as a mill. They actually put a dam in the mouth of the cave right before the water would actually run into it. And they first used it just as a mill to grind grains for the local farmers to come in and get their wheat and their corn ground down to flour.
There have been lots of different milling operations there. There's been wool carding, grist mill, saw mill, lots of different stuff there.
The last mill actually ended in the late 1800s. The owner's wife decided that the owner and the wife had a lot of domestic dispute history, but the owner ended up cheating on the wife, and the wife decided to pour some gas all over the place, light a match, and just watch it burn. After that fire that ended the history of the mills in the cave, it also ended their marriage.
Confederate General Simon Buckner led approximately 4,000 troops to Bowling Green on September 18, 1861. The Confederate Army used the cave as camping ground and to store weapons.
Basically, the Confederate soldiers, when they were camped here, had a supply wagon that was lost in the Blue Hole. It supposedly crashed into the water, and according to the story, the only thing that was rescued from that accident was the wagoneer's hat. The wagon, the horses, the wagoneer, the supplies all disappeared into the water.
Measles, typhoid, and pneumonia nearly wiped out the army of 20,000 stationed in the southern part of the state. The bodies of many troops who fell victim to these outbreaks were buried in Bowling Green's Fairview Cemetery.
And then when the Union soldiers were there, after the Confederates retreated back to Tennessee, there was several Union soldiers that, according to legend, went for a swim in the Blue Hole. And while they were swimming there, one went under and didn't come out, and another went in to try to find him and didn't come out, and a third went in to try to find them and didn't come out, and the rest of them got out.
It is rumored that on March 18, 1868, Jesse James and his gang robbed a bank in Russellville. During their escape, they kidnapped a doctor to heal a wounded member of his gang and held it up in the cave.
It's rumored that Jesse James stayed in the cave, in Lost River Cave, but I really think the Jesse James story originated from back in the 1940s when all the cave wars was going on in Kentucky. The tourism industry of Kentucky decided, since we have all these holes in the ground, we're going to try to get a bunch of people to come to them. And caves, Mammoth Cave, Diamond Caverns, all those caves around this area, they just started putting out a lot of stories like Jesse James stayed in our cave, or some famous Indian warrior died in the cave, just to get tourists to come in.
That was, well, the Perkins family owned the cave at the time, but there was someone they leased it to that did the nightclub. The grand opening was in 1933, and it was in Billboard magazine, so it had a pretty big publicity there apparently at the beginning. And it got to be extremely popular for one reason being it was the only air-conditioned nightclub around. It was 57-degree breeze coming out of the cave, and no other nightclubs in town had air conditioning in 1933. In the 1950s and 60s, the three things that made it the most popular, the cool air coming out of the cave, all the traffic coming down the main highway, 31W at the time, and it being a swing nightclub during the swing era. When the 50s and 60s came along, so did I-65, air conditioners, and rock and roll, and this place started losing popularity.
Okay, well, after the nightclub ended because of various reasons, the cave, it just kind of sat vacant. And between that time up until the mid-90s, when it became the Lost River Cave and Valley that we know now into Bowling Green, it set as a huge illegal operation. What could have went down there that was so illegal was it became a big place for people to throw in. Like seriously, every kind of you could imagine. Pickup trucks, tires, refrigerators, washers and dryers. Everyone used to just pull up to the road because 31W runs right above the cave entrance, which is the major highway. People would just pull right off of it, throw all their garbage in there, and all the garbage would just kind of be swept down into the cave by the water and just kind of stay there. And between that time, the water quality it got really, really bad. You wouldn't want to touch the water. Like it was just a giant dump. And that's what initiated, that's really the only reason that it is a tourist attraction now, is because of all the illegal dumping that went on.
The cave entrance and the valley that was once part of the cave is actually all owned by Western Kentucky University. When the Friends of Lost River, the nonprofit organization, was formed, they donated the land to WKU, and so WKU owns it and leases it back to the Friends of Lost River. Well, we have boat tours of the cave. We have a butterfly habitat in the summertime. You can hike back on the trail and see the butterfly habitat. Nature trails that you can hike on. We have a bird blind where you can go bird watching. We have a wetlands water treatment area that when they widened Nashville Road, they put in a wetlands water treatment. They pipe the water down to that area so that it can be naturally filtered, and so it's less polluted when it goes back into the underground. We have a brand new gift shop that's just been added onto and remodeled. One of the near future plans is a prairie restoration. They want to restore an area to prairie grasses and wildflowers that would have been here when we came along. There also have been plans to create a brand new visitor center, but then when the recession hit, that became just kind of expand what we have rather than build a brand new one. So that may still be on the books somewhere as a long-term plan.
As one group of people lost use for the cave, another group of people discovered a new use for the cave. Humans have always been curious, and exploring Lost River Cave shows humans' desire to explore the unknown.